All right. Well, good evening to everyone, and thank you for coming and hearing what I have a big passion for. A little bit of a disclaimer. No, I'm not an author, but my wife is. I generally say I provide things for her to write about. I don't know. But anyway, and by the way of introduction, for those that don't know me, I'm Floyd Yoder. My wife, Molly Yoder. We're from Gold Creek, Montana. And what I'm going to speak about tonight, and some of you might already know, it's about the missionary group Gospel for Asia, GFA for short. And you might know because Eunice has been down there helping them and has plans to go again. But this, when I got introduced to this about 2 years ago, my Uncle Paul, and Eunice's Uncle Paul, came to me and he said, Floyd, did you ever hear of Gospel for Asia? No, said I didn't. We said, I'm going to give you a book, and I want you to read this book, and you tell me what you think about it. He didn't say a lot more about it. They also have a daughter that's down helping at the campus in Texas for Gospel for Asia. And I read the book and I was very impressed. And I had also called and talked to one of them down in Texas. And then I have, in my business that I have quite a few dealers in Texas, and I decided to go down to see some of my dealers, and then I would stop in Wills Point, Texas, where the campus is for Gospel for Asia, and just find out more about it. And we were contributing to them by that time some already, but I just wanted to know more about it. And I really appreciated what I seen and their vision. And at the start, I will make a little disclaimer, if you call it that. As some of you might know, some of you might have heard, if you look up on the website, you might come across that and see that they had been in a lawsuit, Gospel for Asia, and they had been in a lawsuit for 4.5 years. This was very unfortunate. Another missionary group was jealous and turned them in, thinking that they were using money from their sponsors to build their new campus. They had been in the center or somewhere in Dallas, didn't have enough room, were praying about this for a long time, and God just opened the doors, and a lot of the stuff was donated. The land was a couple hundred acres, and it was all donated. And but other people thought, oh, I'll bet that's where the money's going that they're getting in. Very unfortunate. But this was for 4.5 years, and they had some of the very one of the top 5 investigators in America, in the United States, was investigating them. And this went on for 4.5 years. And they were over in India for 2 years investigating, and they never found one single instance ever that they used that money for themselves, which they said all along they didn't. But very unfortunately, there was a lot of their sponsors that took that occasion. I bet that's where our money's going. And they lost 60% of their sponsorships. Very unfortunate. But they're trying to build that back up again. I trust the organization. I trust them with all my money. They are not in that to take anything out for themselves. They do get money to operate. But if you send $10 or if you send $10,000 for the mission in India, that will reach India. They don't keep anything out for themselves. So it's, and there's a lot of different programs that they do. So we were contributing a lot with them. And then one day I got a phone call from somebody there at the offices and said, Floyd, we're going over to India, and we wondered if you would be interested, you and your wife, to go along, and you can see where your money is being spent, where your money is going. And I guess I did appreciate that. They're not trying to hide anything. So we consented. And this was March a year ago. We were over in India with them for 10 days. And I'll never be the same from what I've seen. I just want to tell you about some of the different programs that Gospel for Asia has. You can also look up on the website, GFA.org. It's all over. You can do that. You can also sponsor missionaries or whatever right from the website as well. But I want to tell you some about that, and then also we have some pictures that go along for what we've seen. But to tell a little bit about India, I didn't know much about India when I went over there. I just knew that that India was a country over there in the Middle East, and didn't know much about it, but just some statistics here, and I have these back on the table, and everybody's welcome to take one along. Just some statistics. The world's population is just under 8 billion people. The population of the United States is 331 million. The population of India is 1.4 billion. And India is a third the size of the United States and has 1 billion more people. It's really hard to even imagine without being there and seeing the masses of people. And very unfortunate, a lot of those people don't know of the name of Jesus. They don't know anything of the gospel. You know, that's really hard for us to even imagine, that there would be people in the world today that never heard of the gospel, never heard of the name of Jesus. There was a missionary came into one of the villages and asked the village leader, he said, "Do you know Jesus?" He said, "Jesus? No, he's not here in this village. Go over in the next village, he might be over there." He had no idea who Jesus was. And that's the way it is with a lot of people in India. For us, it's hard to fathom. It's hard to imagine. We also have a map back on the table. This is glares some I noticed from back there, but you can look at it closer from back at the table. There's what they call a 1040 window. This is 10 degrees by 40 degrees. And in that window are 87% of the unreached people and the people that never heard of the gospel. 97%, I'm sorry. That's 97% in this 1040 window. So it's not just India, but India is one of probably the worst, and some of the countries, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka. India is this little country right here. Gospel for Asia started from India. The founder from Gospel for Asia was K.P. Yohanan. K.P. Yohanan was a native of India. He was converted when he was a boy, and he went out to be missionary when he was 10 years old. It would be interesting if time would allow it to say how all this happened and how KP became a missionary when his mother was praying for him for 3 years, fasting every Friday, that one of her sons would become a missionary. and all the sons grew up, married, got a business, or did something else, and it was only KP left, and KP was not a speaker. But KP got converted, and God pressed upon his heart to go out and tell the world, tell his people about Jesus. And KP did that. KP went out as a, excuse me, as a missionary at 17 years old. He went with some different missionaries. He was beaten. They were driven out of the villages, and but they kept on going. But KP wanted to know more about the gospel. So he came over to Texas and went to Bible school or college to learn more so he could be more effective. KP was over here for a couple years. They wanted to make him a pastor of a church right away. And but then when KP was ready to go back, he was thinking, who am I, one person, going back with the millions and millions of people back in my country? So KP was getting this vision. What could we do to reach more people? And one thing that KP really thought would work, and it did, still working today, is instead of sending people over from here, train their own people in India and have them go out as missionaries. The boys from 19 years old to 25 years old, send them to a Bible school, a Bible college, seminary, and teach them. So now we need seminaries. So that's another thing he did is started with seminaries. There is over 58 seminaries in India now to train missionaries to go out. The nationals, the missionaries, the people from there, they are so much more effective than we could ever be. They already know the language, they know the culture, and they can thrive where we can barely survive. It's right, the southern India is right in the jungle, right in the heart of the jungle. Furthermore, we're not allowed to go over to India as a missionary. India will not tolerate Christians, missionaries. If they would have found out when we went over that we are connected to a missionary group, we would have been banned from India forever. They will not tolerate it. So we went in as visitors. But what they do is why not train their own people? They're already there. And they can be so much more effective than we could ever be. So what they set up is that so a way that you can sponsor those missionaries. And I just heard Eunice just said that there's 2,000 missionaries that just graduated this year, and they all need to be sponsored. So there's thousands, and they have 5,000 in training. Well, that was their expectation. Probably did. In training right now. So there's the need. There's people standing in line. They want to do this, knowing when they go out, they're going to be beaten and many will be killed. But they still want to go. They want to go tell people of the Jesus that they found out about. And they're ready to put their life on the line to tell others about this. I'm going to tell more about this as we go along, but just a little more on the statistics of the difference in India. We flew into Delhi, New Delhi, India. That's a northern part of India. It's the second largest city in the world. And New Delhi has where do I have it here somewhere? 21 million people in New Delhi. Now, if we would want to just compare that, New York City has 8 million people. New Delhi has 21 million people just in in the city of New Delhi. That's where we flew into. And just a little bit for the population of people. Delhi, India has 30,000 people per square mile. United States has 94 people per square mile, and Montana has 7. The difference, the vast difference of just the masses of people, it's hard to imagine without seeing it, and then you can't fathom the amount of people. The population of Greater Mumbai is 27 million people with the suburbs. 27 million people, and 60% of those people live in slums. 60% of the 27 million. Mumbai has around 200,000 homeless children on the streets. Every day, Mumbai sends people out with trucks to pick up the children that didn't make it that night. And there's generally from 200 to 250 children per day that they load on trucks and haul out. It's just we can't imagine. Mumbai has one of the greatest population of slums anywhere in the world. Ironically, Mumbai is also the city with the most billionaires in the world. That's a difference. You know, India still has that caste system. They have 4 castes. They have the filthy rich. They have the merchants. Then they have the laborers or slaves. And yes, they do have another caste lower than that. And those are called the Dalits. Those are treated like slaves or worse than slaves or like animals. You know, in Mumbai, and not just Mumbai, but some of these filthy rich people would get these Dalits, the children, and they force those children to go out on the street and beg for money for these filthy rich people. Now, to make the children more effective, they might break the child's arm or the leg, so it's more effective. Or they'll take boiling water and pour in their eyes so they're blind. They don't feed them well because they want to make them look very poor, so they're more effective to beg for money for these filthy rich people. It's so wrong. But that goes on. Then when the children come home at night, they pen them up and lock them in cages so they don't run away that night, so they can take them out again the next day and force them. And then when they don't get enough money, they're beaten to beg for money for these rich people. And sadly, it just goes on. There's lots of things on here that just take one home and read it for yourselves. But a little bit about the population. 33% of the world's population would profess to be Christian. 38% of the world's population have access to the gospel, but choose not to follow Jesus. 29%, that's almost a third, of the world's population have never heard of Jesus. For us, it's almost, we just can't almost fathom. They say there's about 2 billion people in this 1040 window that have never heard of Jesus. 2 billion people. For the missions, for the money that's given out for missions every year, it's about $45 billion a year that goes to missions. But out of that $45 billion given to missionaries every year, or missions, not just missionaries, but missions, 87% of that money goes to a third of the world's population that are called Christians. 87%. 12% of that money goes to the 38% of the world population that know of Jesus, but they choose not to follow. 1% of that money goes to the 29% of the world's population that have never heard of Jesus. 1%. If we would take a dollar bill to represent all the money that gets sent to missions, 1 penny goes to 2 billion people that have never heard of Jesus. It's almost like you feel like throwing your hands in the air. What can we do? What else can we do? And that's what Gospel for Asia has asked themselves. What can we do? KP was from India, right in there. KP, I knew KP as a personal friend. Unfortunately, this spring, KP was out on his morning walk, and he was hit by a car, and he died the next day. KP had a vision greater than I have ever seen anyone else have. It's just, it was always, how can we help more people? I really appreciated KP and what he did and the vision that he has. But I trust that it'll go on. KP has 2 children, Danny in Texas, and a daughter, Sarah, in India. And they have, I don't know, probably the same passion that their dad had. So, and with everyone else that's involved, I trust the vision can go on. I'm going to show you 2 short videos. It gives you maybe a little bit more of an idea of what's going on with the children in India, and then also just what some missionaries are doing. Just a group of 18 missionaries. And they have thousands of missionaries in India today, but just 18. But just gives you a little better perspective what's happening. And they also, the children, you used to be able to sponsor the children. Also, same as the missionaries, you could sponsor the children for $35 a month. You could provide the uniforms for the children, the school supplies, the medical, and 1 meal a day. And they would provide the schooling for just over $1 a day. And uniforms, you know, when we were over there, you've seen the schools, especially the Christian school, that they call their schools the Bridge of Hope for the children. And you've seen they all had uniforms. You know, here we don't do that, but I really seen a big value in their uniforms. In India, those poor people, a lot of those poor children don't even have clothes. If you provide uniforms, they come to school and they're all on the same level. They start out the same. So there's not that peer pressure or the children, you know, not having clothes, you know, ashamed to come to school maybe that way if the others have nice clothes. And they're also given 1 meal a day, and for many of those children, that's all the food they get. But it's 1 big meal a day. And so very unfortunately, that as of last year or first of this year, I'm not sure when it was, that got changed, that India now no longer allows that. India does not want people to take pictures of their children, send it out to other countries, that we see the awful plight of their children. They don't want to do that. So they can no longer do that. Have sponsorship card. It used to be with a sponsorship card, you had the picture of the child, And you could sponsor it as a very great thing for little small children to get them involved in this. And then sponsor this child for $35 a month. You could correspond with it. You could send a picture of your family, and the child could write you a letter. But unfortunately, that's no longer allowed. That's against the law. They're working on getting some more from some of the countries, say Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Africa, some of those places. And there are a couple available if you look on the website. There's a couple children from those countries that are available, but just very few. They used to have hundreds of these sponsorship cards for children. You can still donate to these children. It'll get there just the same, but we can't correspond with those children. And whatever if you send money, if you earmark that for a certain cause, it will go there. If you earmark it for the unsponsored children, that's where it'll go. So you can still do it, but unfortunately, you just can't correspond with that child. And the missionaries as well, and I'll say more about that. But this is a video that I'm going to show, if we could just have the lights. Video that I'm going to show about some of how it goes with the children.
She is 8 years old. Her home is a hut made of rags. Going to school is an impossible dream. She is a dog. Viewed as subhuman by the Hindu caste system, her people are commonly assaulted, raped, murdered. Deep in their hearts, they hunger for love and reassurance, to be told for once that their lives are worth something. Gospel for Asia has long wanted to tell these people that Jesus loves them and offers them hope. But how? Now, God has provided a way to reach them through their children. by sponsoring a child today. For $28 a month, you can give a child an education, clothing, food, and medical care. And most of all, you give your child a message of Christ's love and hope for the future. To sponsor your Bridge of Hope child today, simply fill out this card and bring it to the GFA table. You'll receive a picture and information about the child you'll be helping.
That's unfortunately, like I said, that's no longer available to have a picture of the child that you're sponsoring. It used to be $28 a day. Today, or lately, it's been $35. We'll do that. So it's you could still sponsor for the children, but you can't do it individually with a picture of the child. I have another video that I want to show of the missionaries, and this is just some missionaries that are on what they call the Forgotten Islands. And just a small section, and 18 missionaries. Well, I'm not sure what's going on. My screen mirroring doesn't turn on. Can't find my projector. Do we know, did we do anything different to this phone? It's not finding the Wi-Fi for the projector. You know, there's two kinds of people. There's some people that are IT technicians for technology. But then there's also TI, and I'm a TI, and that stands for the ignorant. Oh boy. See, what would I do to turn it on for that to find itself? Oh. Not the right one. Still not the right one.
Is it not showing up there?
Oh, that might need to be turned on. Generally, yep, well. It's still not coming up for this projector.
It's not that one?
No, it's not. Picks up everything else but that. Certainly all I needed to do right there, just turn my mirroring on, and it would. Let's see, is it that? I don't think so. I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. There we go. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. I have another video that I want to show from these missionaries, just 18 missionaries, but just to give you an idea, and they have thousands of missionaries in India.
Shimmering water, steamy jungles, and rustic huts. An amazing hidden paradise. At least at first glance. These are the Forgotten Islands. Although they look like an exotic vacation spot, there's no luxury here. The villagers will never go to a mall, taste an ice cube, or drive a car. Instead, they'll fish, bathe, and wash dishes in the same stagnant ponds. Even worse, they'll drink from them. no schools or medical clinics. And the people have never been taught how to keep clean. So there's a lot of sickness and death. Life seems hopeless. But a team of 18 Gospel for Asian missionaries is changing all that. Traveling on boats from island to island, these men are bringing the light of Christ into the darkness of these hidden waterways. Taj, the leader of the team, is determined to take this message of hope despite facing persecution and death threats.
It is not we who have been doing ministry, but it is God who has been doing ministry through us.
The islanders have formed a close-knit society, and foreigners aren't easily accepted. But through the missionaries, God has begun to lower social barriers. As a result, Taj and the others have developed personal relationships with hundreds of villagers, allowing them to share the gospel openly.
When our Benjamin brother holded her leg and when he began to offer the prayer, she was completely moved. And then she told, you are my son, you are like my son. And then Benjamin replied, you are like my mother. Never worry about anything. Jesus will heal.
Our family members only firstly they came to believe in Jesus. Now see they are 100 years old. We began to pray and then God opened the door for this video Hope Center.
Then I began to pray, Lord, you start at least 20 videos of Satan. This coming generation should be the generation of Lord Jesus Christ. I began to pray that they may have enough resources of water.
God has answered the prayers with clean water. Instead of drawing water from stagnant ponds, fresh water now flows through Jesus' wells. These island inhabitants have seen the true love that the missionaries have for them and are eager to learn more about Jesus. In less than 2 years, 44 islands have been reached, and 66 thriving Christian fellowships have been planted. In fact, on one small island, every single villager has decided to follow Christ. The Lord is working through these missionaries in miraculous ways. Everywhere these brothers go, people are saved, even boat drivers. Yet there are still many islands where the name of Jesus has never been uttered. These people are hungry to hear about the Savior, and they need someone to tell them. As Taj and his team rejoice in what God has done so far, he and his team pray that more missionaries will hear the call to go to these hidden people. To sponsor it, simply fill out this card and bring it to the GFA table.
We have those cards available, and you'll see them on the back on the table. And that's, you can still sponsor the missionaries for $30 a day. Some missionaries, some might be couples, some might be families, might take a little more than $30 a day, but there is need for so many more missionaries to be sponsored. They're standing in line waiting for somebody to sponsor them. So there's plenty of cards. We have plenty of cards along. Free to take whatever you want, but don't take a card if you don't plan to sponsor that missionary, because then he'll be out of the loop and won't be sponsored right away. So, but any of them that you want to sponsor, just feel free to take. This is That was just one of the areas. This is an area that they call the Forgotten Islands. In 2 years, they started 60 churches, these 18 missionaries. There are so many people that are just waiting for someone to tell them about Jesus. When this is KP, like I said, is a personal friend of mine. Before we went to India, we had prayer together, and I really appreciate the vision of KP. So I'm just going to go through my pictures and tell more about the different programs as we go through. This is a picture of India, or of that area. It also would include Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, up in the northern part. Each dot that you see represents at least 50 churches. You know, we might think, wow, 50 churches, and they already have thousands of missionaries out there. How many more do they actually need? You know, with all the missionaries out there, people are being born faster than we can reach them with what's there. And it's going backwards. There's the people not knowing about Jesus is getting more, even with all these missionaries out there. Since 1978, GFA has over 12,000 churches in India and Nepal, Sri Lanka. 12,000 and over 4 million members. But it's going backwards. People are being born faster than that. So it's a very, very great need. I like maps, and it was very interesting flying across, seeing where you were, where you're going, your flight path. And can somebody tell me where this is? Yep, this is Sinai Peninsula. It was interesting to me, Egypt right here. Very interesting to me just to see that. Then this was especially interesting. We're coming down here, we're crossing about right here where I think the Red Sea crossing was, where the children of Israel crossed. There's a natural underwater bridge right here. And we were about to cross at that spot. Just interesting to me. This, of course, in India, there's lots and lots of dogs, and we didn't get out of the airport. Between the airport and the parking garage was already dogs. So we went in March. We still had snow on the ground, and they had these nice flower displays. It's really which seemed extra nice to us. The first place we went to when we got to Delhi is we went to one of the seminaries. Now, this was shortly after COVID. We had lockdowns, but India had double lockdowns. So it was everything completely closed down. This was just starting to ramp back up, and this was in one of the seminaries. They have about 58 seminaries spread throughout India. So they also train girls, boys and girls. No, the girls aren't called missionaries, but they're called Sisters of Compassion. I really have a deep passion for what the Sisters of Compassion do. Sisters of Compassion are also trained just like a missionary, but the Sisters of Compassion go out 2 by 2, same as the boys, the men. They are to be in prayer as they're getting their training, that God would show them where to go. They are there to go to a village where there's no presence of the gospel. If there's already someone in there, go to another village. There's so many villages that have never heard. So they're to pray that God would show them where to go. And they generally go 2 by 2. They go pray for the sick, help the women, teach them hygiene practices, and clean up. You know, the hygiene practices in India, we can't imagine. The Hindus, we know a cow is sacred in India, or for the Hindus. a cow is sacred. So when a little baby is born, they take fresh cow manure and put on the navel. And they wonder why babies die. They don't know. They don't know any better. They have always done this. So hygiene practices are just really bad because nobody has ever taught them different. These Sisters of Compassion go in and help the women. They can now talk directly to the women. You know, it's not in their culture. It's not, men are not to go and talk to women, and especially in their house. So it's these Sisters of Compassion can do what men can't do. And there is so big of a need among the women. Also the widows. The plight of the widows in India is so sad. When a woman's husband dies or is killed, it's always the woman's fault. In their culture, it's the woman's fault, and the woman is now driven out with the children, driven out, not to have any contact with their relatives again. Just like a leper. It's very, very sad, the plight of the widows in India. So these girls are there to help those women. I'm going to have some pictures of traffic mixed in here, and some of you have probably been to third world countries, know a little bit what it's like. And in India, a cow is sacred, so wherever there's a cow, you don't chase that cow off the road. Even if it's in the middle of 4-lane traffic, that cow has the right of way. There's many different things in India. You don't even know what you're seeing right away. And I wanted to move this picture to another spot and didn't. But this, I didn't know what this was. Later found out it's a sugarcane press. That people can come and get a pint of cane sugar, and they'll press it right there. And later on, I have a video that where I just asked a boy there with it if he can show me how that's done. But the next place we went to was a boys' home in Delhi. Now, not all the seminaries have a boys' or a girls' home, but this the pastor in Delhi had really had a heart for these homeless children out on the street. So he started a home for the boys and a home for the girls. So some of these homes, they would get these children, raise the children till they're like 18 years old and can go on their own, or they try to find their home. You know, there's many children today in India that are simply lost. With the masses of children in India, if you have your child along and you're looking at something, your child gets behind other people, all of a sudden you can't find it, you don't know which direction to look, and the children become lost. And they become homeless or whatever. That happens all the time. So first they try to find the parents and see if they're capable of taking care of this child, and then they give the children back to their parents. If not, they'll raise them. And there's many people on the street that their parents didn't want them or couldn't provide for their children, so they're out on the street just seeking for something to eat, and oft times in the garbage. You can see here they have a bow of flowers, and we soon seen that everywhere you went in India, that's a culture that they have. They have these flower lays that they put across over your neck. And everywhere we went, they were ready with new ones. And that was just their culture. And we'll see more of that later. This is how it looked with on your neck. This was Tony Barclough. He was our guide as we were in India. It was Molly and I. Tony, and then there was one other couple, a longtime supporter from Texas that also went along, and we'll see pictures of them later, that also went along. And this man is actually an airline pilot, Delta airline pilot. He flies to Israel at least once a week, but we got to know them pretty well. The boys there sang for us, had a skit for us. They were very happy for us to be there. There was one boy that was there with the others. He was crippled. He almost couldn't walk. He sort of drug himself along on the floor. This boy, when he was 5 years old in Delhi, was out on the street, and he was run over by a concrete truck, crippled very, very badly. GFA found out about it, or the boys' home found out about it, and they went and got this boy and nursed him back to health, but he's really, really badly crippled today. But he is so friendly, and he is so happy. He's now 20-some years old, but he asked the boys' home, could he just stay there and help as much as he can? He appreciates it so much, what they did for him. So he stays there. Very nice, friendly boy. This is just a group picture from the boys. This is the other couple that went along from northern Texas somewhere. Next place, we went to the girls' home. You can see they're all ready for us. And the girls' home they have is just a short distance away. They also sang for us, did a skit for us, and very, very happy girls. They wanted us to serve them. It was time to eat, and they wanted us to serve these girls. So we served all the girls, and then we went to look at their facilities and where the girls stayed, so on. By that time, they were done, and then they wanted to serve us. Also, they counted that as a big privilege that they could do that. This is just as we left the girls' home. That's what it says. One thing that GFA does different from a lot of other organizations. GFA tries to be above board with everything they do. The state is welcome to come in and look what they're doing. They try to get permits for all the churches. It's getting harder to do, but they still want to get permits. And everything they do, they want to do above board and not hide anything. This is one of the brick kilns, one of many that we've seen in India. These brick kilns have almost all slave labor, or like that little 5-year-old boy that we've seen in the picture, in the video. These children as young as 5 years old are forced to work and carry heavy loads all day long. There's many, many brick kilns in India. This was Sunday morning. They told us that we want to go to church. This was now in the center of India, in Lucknow. And they said it's about a 2-hour drive, and we want to go to a village and be at one of their churches. He said it takes about 2 hours. Well, it was more than that. It was about 2 hours and 15 minutes through some of the most horrendous driving you have ever seen. It's just the traffic. Just sometimes it seems lights are merely a suggestion. While people keep on going, no matter if the light changes, they keep right up behind the next one and keep that line going until there's a little slot. Then they start going the other way. But it's very, very interesting. When we got to, we didn't know much about this church. This was the little village of Pakri. And when we got there, the ministers, the pastors, were there to greet us, and they gave us a flower lace. And they said we were to walk in through the people. The people there was people on either side, men on one side, women on the other. And we were to walk through here almost like the gauntlet. No, it wasn't in a bad way. But they all wanted to see us. This, found out later, this is the first time that Americans had ever been to that church. And they took it as a very big honor to have Americans coming to their church. They all wanted to see us. That's why they didn't start when the time was to start the church. We were 15 minutes late. They were all waiting for us. So we were to walk down through here so they could all see us. The church was back here behind by the trees. And as we were walking down between here, especially the women, had bowls full or aprons full of flower petals, and they were taking these flower petals and throwing over us as we were walking down through there. That's another gesture of welcome. It's just in their culture. So as we were getting down farther, the people started coming out and they wanted to touch us. Well, you didn't want to walk over them, and they came down and wanted to touch our knee. So you hesitated, and then they came out farther, and now they kneeled in front of you and touched your feet, and then touched your knees. Touched your knees and then your feet. I had no idea what they're doing. My first, are they worshiping me or what? But no, in India, that is their top highest way of showing welcome and respect. To kneel in front of you, touch your knees and then your feet. They were so glad to see us, and finally we couldn't walk. There was people all wanted to do that. The pastors had to come and get the people away so we could go. This is what it looked like. We couldn't even go anymore. There was just, now the path went to nothing. And pastors had to divide them again, and we walk on through. They took us to the back end of the church and said, sit here till everybody else is seated in the church. And they gave us each a bottle of ice cold bottled water. I don't know where they got that. Those villages don't have any refrigeration in any of the villages. Probably no refrigeration close. But somewhere, somebody seen to it that their visitors from America get a cold bottle of water. So they were seated, and then once they were done, they told us we can come now. Well, in India, you don't go in a building, and for sure not a church building, with your shoes on. Never. Everybody takes their shoes off. So we came to a circle of sandals and shoes. It was about 10 feet in diameter and probably this deep. And of course, we were also to take our shoes off, and just hoping we'd find them when we'd want them, but they were different enough that other people didn't take ours. So now we were to go in, and now there's just this little pathway between men sit on one side, women on the other, just about a foot and a half wide, and we were to sit up front on the left side, on the women's side. And in India, like in church, a lot of places, they don't even have chairs. They just sit flat on the floor. They just had rugs, and the people just sat flat on the floor. They sat cross-legged and had some rows somewhat. But as in the start of the service, 2 times in the start of the service that the usher came through, told people to sit closer together. There's people out on the porch, out across the yard, that can't come in. So 2 times he told them just to sit closer together. The aisle got narrower, and there was the women, they would sit, and the men as well, they would sit cross-legged, and the one in front sat right in your lap, and the one beside was tight against you. You could not see the floor anywhere. They were packed in there as tight as they could, and there were still people on the porch and across the yard. The worship service there was very moving. These people were in tears running down their cheeks. They were worshiping. I have never been anywhere ever that the Spirit was that present, that powerful, the Holy Spirit. It was, you felt it. While we were through the service, there was a lady toward the back that started screaming. She stood up and she was screaming at the top of her lungs. That lady had a demon within her, and that demon cannot stand the presence of the Holy Spirit. And it manifested itself. The 2 sisters of compassion went and got that lady, took her outside. We didn't see her again. But it seemed the others were, it wasn't something that was out of the ordinary. It seemed like That's something that happens. To us, it was never had experienced anything like that. Pastor Abhishek, I appreciated him so much. He was with us that Sunday when we were traveling, and he's just such a gentle man. And the message that he was bringing in, you know, he could speak English to us, broken English, but the message that he brought to them, we couldn't understand a single word, but the Spirit was so present. It just brought tears to your eyes. Just the women, just in all rapt attention, listening to what he was saying. India, the women or the people of India love bright colors, and this was a picture that one of our guides took from the back end. But they really love bright colors. And you notice that the women all had head coverings on. That was something I asked. I had a lot of questions for KP and the guides, and KP told me, now any questions and this is now Mennonite, they're not in any way connected with Anabaptists, but they were very, very careful that they didn't want to offend us. And they said, any questions that you have, just you're free, welcome to ask. And this was one. Sometimes I seen these people, once they were on the outside, they didn't have a head covering on anymore. And I just asked KP then, I said, I see some your women don't always have head coverings. In church they seem to, all of them did. And he almost looked surprised. And he said, "Well, what does it say in 1 Corinthians chapter 11? Doesn't it say a woman while praying or prophesying should have her head covered?" Yes, it does. You know, I'm really glad we have it the way we do. But they are, in all sincerity, they are doing the way that getting as close to what the Bible says. You know, we think, why not just leave it on? One time through the service, one of the ladies, I didn't see it, Molly seen it, that one of the ladies' head covering slipped down. And there was a lady a couple rows back, if you call it that, or back a little, came up and put that head covering on that she knew that it had slid down the back. So it's very, you would never go in a church, in a worship service, or pray without a head covering. So it was very, they worshiped for 2.5 hours after we got there. It was just and then the service was about to close, and they started to pass a collection basket. And not many people had money. But once the collection basket was passed, they started passing what they had. A lot of those people didn't have money, or very poor people. Maybe they had 6 eggs. Maybe they had a pint of goat's milk. Maybe they had a little bit of rice. I've seen women that had the rice as much as what I could fit in my palm of my hand. But that's in a little bag. But that's what they gave. They wanted to give, and they passed that to the end of the aisles, and they collected it, put it in bags, and this, if that is not the widow's mite, I don't know what is. We later asked them, who does this go for? Oh, they said that's for the poor people. I thought they were the poor people, but they wanted to give. There's something that I have marked in my Bible that's very precious. This is a New Living Translation. But when I came back and read that, that's what we seen. And I changed a word in there from Macedonia to Pakri. And this is what we seen. 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1. Now I want you to know, dear brothers and sisters, what God in his kindness has done through the churches in Pakri. They are being tested by many troubles. They are very poor, but they're also filled with an abundant joy, which has overflowed in rich generosity. For I can testify that they gave not only what they could afford, but far more, and they did it of their own free will. That's exactly what we've seen. Those people wanted to give. This was a benediction prayer, and before they dismissed, right after they dismissed, we seen they were going out sort of hastily, and they told us to come, and we didn't know what they wanted. And later, then found out they wanted a group picture. This was very, very precious to them that people from America would come to their church, and they wanted a picture, a group picture, with us and with them. That picture, to me, is very precious. Those are my brothers and sisters. As we left, I started asking a little bit about Pakri. How did it come about? How did it start? They said 13 years ago, there wasn't a single believer in Pakri. Pakri was a very notorious village, dirty, smelly. Even the neighboring villages didn't want to go to Pakri. Nobody has outhouses. They all just go on the street. Children play in that. The two sisters of compassion, as they were training, felt that God was telling them to go to Pakri. Two sisters of compassion came to this village, dirty, filthy. They started praying for the sick, started to clean up and help the women. And these women, people were starting to get healed. And they asked, who is this God that you are praying to? And they said it was God, the Almighty Creator God. They didn't know who this God was. But some of them also, they wanted to know more. This God can bring healing. They wanted to know more. You know, healing today in India keeps on going like we read of in Bible times. In the New Testament, when the apostles or Jesus went out and healed people, I can very, very well see why Jesus used healing. You know, in India or those type of people, they don't want teaching or preaching, but it doesn't matter what religion they have. Everybody wants healing, and that speaks loudly to people. People that have been doctoring and not getting any help, and then getting help miraculously. There has actually been times recently where a missionary goes out and prays for somebody that's blind, could never see in his life, and all of a sudden he opens his eyes and can see. That's still happening today. Praise God. These Sisters of Compassion came into Pakri, and people wanted to know more about it. So they asked a missionary to come in, and they started a church. This church that you see in the background was added on to 3 times already, and it's still not near big enough. Today, there's over 1,000 members going to that church. 13 years. In 13 years. And there's many more villages out there just waiting for someone to come and tell them. These flower lays, they had a lot more than needed, so they just kept putting on. But and as we left there was lines of people lined up in front of each one of us, and they wanted us to pray for them. You know, we couldn't understand what they said. Some pointed to their knee, some pointed to their head. You know, some had a little baby. And we prayed for them, and we didn't know, we couldn't understand what they said, but we were sure that God knew. And we prayed for them. But finally, we just had to go, and there was just still seemed like hundreds of people that would have liked that we would pray for them. but had a schedule, so we needed to move on. Went back out on the streets. This was through rice harvest, and their loads in India, we're just our loads. We'd have just been starting. What did I do here? So there's lots of big loads, and just not just goods, but also people. The next place we went to was a temporary church. This was a place about, I think it was 30-minute drive from there. And this was a church that they didn't, a village that didn't have a church yet, but they had they were holding services, but not a church building. And this was, so we were going in there. And as we got in there, back by the village, this building in the back here is their church house. We might put chickens in there. I don't know. It was in bad shape. I don't know if we would or not. But they're also ready with flower lays here for us, and so they were just so happy to see us and show us their church. This was in India. A lot of the houses have very low doors. I thought it just can't be how dangerous this looked. The tin here was right at eye level, and that's where they have their church. But I guess everybody's used to stooping, but they made sure that we've seen that we don't get hurt. But this was all they had for a church building. They said they do a little different there. They start at the back corner, and everyone sits as tight as they can, and then the rest just have to stand on the outside. So there's way more people than fit in this little building. But as we were done there, the children sang a song for us. They were so happy to see us. And then they wanted to show us their well, their Jesus well. This is another thing that GFA does. They drill wells for these places where they can't get any good water, just using stagnant pond water or river water. And in some of these ponds, the Hindus would take their cows, bathe them in the pond, and then they'd get that water to drink. It's just no wonder they have as many diseases. So this is, GFA now has done a couple thousand of these wells, where they drill a well and put a hand pump on it. And this temporary village with the temporary church, they had one of these, and they were so happy to show us their well. By every well, there's a verse, John 4:14, on there about the water that Jesus gives will never thirst, and it will spring up, in a well of fresh water out of us. So that's in on by every Jesus well. They call them Jesus wells. As we left there, this was Pastor Dukas. He was the pastor from this little temporary church. As we left, the pastor came up to us as we were getting in the car. He said, "Would you please, when you get home, would you please tell the people to help pray that we could have a church for our people?" Back out on the streets again. Just some of the you didn't know what you're going to see next, and some of those horses, the loads that they carried with steel, and just horses, they looked like they were ready to fall over. But and it wasn't just horses, bicycles. They can haul about anything with motorcycle. They can haul about anything with a motorcycle. A milk can. I don't know what was in it. Egg cartons. That whole stack was of eggs, and just you never knew what all they have. We seen one place they were taking a mirror someplace. There was a guy sitting behind the driver, had this mirror, a big wide mirror, 6 foot high, and he was holding this, and all he could see was himself. It was just had to laugh to see. That's all he could see. He couldn't see around it, but he could just see himself. The women also, there's also a lot of motorcycle taxis, and the women would all ride side saddle. This was through rice harvest, and there was many, many trucks everywhere, it seemed, and people. This is one of the markets they have in town. Their market, they bring the market out right to the edge of the road. No place for parking. It's when people want to stop there and shop, they stop right in front of in front, and people have to pass. If you were on the second lane, on the outside lane, you turn around, do a U-turn, go against the traffic till you get back to the shop you want, and get out and go shopping. And I guess that's what horns are for, because they're used. The next place we went to was a leprosy colony. You know, in India today, leprosy today is very treatable, especially if caught early on. But in India, they don't have the money, nor do they have the medication, and leprosy goes on. There's over 1,000 leprosy colonies in India today. GFA now has, I think, around 52, 54 maybe, that they're sponsoring, that they are providing for, helping them, and this was one of them. But there's many leprosy colonies still today. Here they were ready as well with these flower leis. What's going on? No service? Okay, I don't know why that's not running. Okay, it was just I had a couple videos of actually they were putting bringing the flower leis and putting around your neck, and I'm not sure what the problem is, but they and they had a picture of them with throwing the flower petals over us. But anyway, well, now they're blurry. I don't know. Don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. That's very, very blurry. Looks like all the pictures. Anybody know why? I don't. I don't know why they seem to be good up to here. It's blurry though. Just screen mirroring off of my phone. I don't know why they're that way. Sorry about that. I don't know. We'll do the best we can. They have a lot of goats that GFA provides for them to have a little bit of a income. Yeah, go ahead and see what for a little bit of an income, and also GFA would provide one meal a day for these leprosy colonies. It's not just the lepers, but also their families that are there in the colony, and try to help them be more closer self-sufficient and provide something for them. So they gave us a tour of the leprosy colony, and then while we were taking that tour, they were being seated in their room where they generally would have their meal, and they were all ready for us. When we walked in, they were singing for us. They started singing, and yeah, I wish I could show that. Just their singing and how really glad they were to have us there and to meet us. The lepers also in the colony. There's also the Sisters of Compassion would help the lepers. Those sisters are also trained along with missionary training. They're also trained for the medical and especially how to treat leprosy. So they were in there, and we've seen them treating the wounds, from the ones that were infected. And it's just I just have a big heart for the sisters, what they do for people. And so that's just they're trying to do more, sponsor more, but right now they have 50 some. But there's so many more colonies that would like to be sponsored. But just go down to screen mirroring now, and are there pictures playing on here? Yeah, they seem to be. Let's see if we can get that again. Oh, you went off Wi-Fi? Yeah, we need Wi-Fi to. Okay. Should connect with Wi-Fi. I don't know why it's not connecting. That's my biggest fear. To do a presentation and not know what to do. I was doing one at our son's church in Torrington, Wyoming, and I couldn't get it to connect to my projector. It wanted to connect to their printers. They had a couple printers. I also had the school there, and it just wanted to connect to their printers. And I was ready to tear my hair out. And finally, they said, "Let's sing a song," and they sang 3 songs. But then Sylvan said, you people told his people there that you've seen something few people ever seen. Dad totally flustered, so.
Last time when I reset it, it came back up.
Okay, yeah, it's not coming. Should we, let me see. There it is. Thank you. Hopefully it's playing. Yeah, it's better. Thank you. Hopefully it'll go on. Just had showed us some of the goats, and as we were going back, we seen where the two sisters of compassion were treating the leper, the wounds. Many of those have to be treated every day. And now all the rest of the people were being seated. They love to sing. People in India love to sing, and they can't sing without clapping. But I really had an eye on. There's 2 girls there in the front. But this was the prayer before lunch, and I couldn't help but sneak a couple pictures. Isn't that sweet? The innocence of those 2 little girls. Before they ate, then they wanted us to hand out the weekly provisions to the lepers. As a precaution, they asked us if we would just wear masks. But as we were in the leper colony, so this was a weekly medications for them, and they wanted us to give them these. then they were ready to eat. This was just the rice, and there again, they were now sitting in a circle on the floor, and they wanted us to serve them. And yes, we did serve them with 5-gallon buckets. The people around the circle, but we soon seen we didn't give them near enough. This is probably also maybe the only meal that some of these the only food they get in a day. So they had a lot bigger meals than what we would have been used to. But this in India, people eat with their hand. Always eat with their right hand, never with your left. The left is used for dirty work. So eat with your right hand. And a couple had spoons, but most just ate with their hand. We soon seen that some wanted a second helping, so there was one of the ladies there that were all took some more rice and was giving him more. And I don't really care for rice myself, so I guess I noticed this. Just watch how much for the second helping. Watch how much that this lady gets. Oh, a little more. I don't really care for rice that much, but they were very very happy that we could be there and visiting them. They all had very friendly goodbyes and were so glad that we stopped in. And as we were going out, we seen what the Sisters of Compassion again were doing. They were feeding some of these people that couldn't even feed themselves. The next place we went to was the Snake Charmer Village. We wondered, what, a snake charmer village? But this village had, for income, all this village had was some of the people were charming snakes. Yes, the big deadly poison king cobra snakes. They were charming these snakes and selling them to snake worshipers, or some they would devenomize and sell them. But that's what they had. It was very eerie. They showed us how to do it. They demonstrated how to do it, and it was so eerie. I didn't even with the music and the stomping and that mesmerized the snakes that they couldn't move. And it was very eerie. It was seemed to be of the devil. I don't know, but. The group of people were there waiting for us, and this was one of a local pastor. He was there also. I don't think he was a pastor of the Snake Charmer Village, but a pastor that he was. It seemed like to have a devotional or something. We couldn't understand, but that he had there for the people. The people here seemed just really dirty. I mean, people were the little children. Really dirty, but they were there just wanting to see us. I don't think we were the first Americans to be there, but they wanted to see us, and I think they were hoping we would bring them something. And this is just one of the king cobras. They had in baskets, and they had these baskets tied, and then started slowly sliding the lid off as they were charming them. our guide gave us a bag of hard candy then to pass out. And there was many more children than this, even with their hands stretched out. There was just hands all over, every child trying to be higher so they would be sure to get one. And you know that, I just had to think, as we were doing that, with all those hands coming up towards us, what does it look like, say if a whole church is praying? What does it look like to God? Maybe something like that, with every hand stretched out and praying. But I don't know if these children ever had hardtack candy before or not, but they really hung on to it. We just took a walk through their village, and a lot of the huts were very, very poor, like you can see here. And then they wanted to show us their outhouses. And here is something the Gospel for Asia also did and also does for other villages. You can actually sponsor these as well. Here they had 2 outhouses, and then they had, at the end, they had a place where people could actually take a shower. Yes, it wasn't running water, but they could dip water and actually bathe here with clean water. So they were very happy with that. They wanted to show us their Jesus well. And as we were leaving, it was I just really had an eye on those children. But here you can see another one of their huts. Very low door. The doors are about this high, and there wasn't anybody there to greet us, but the rooster was there. As we were going out, there's a little boy taking one of these snakes home to their dad. These big poisonous snakes, but it had a rope around it. But as we were walking out, this was the street between the houses. This is raw sewage, goes right down the middle of the street, and the children play in that. Next, we went to another one of the seminaries there in Lucknow, one of the schools, and again, they were ready to greet us with flowers, but that wasn't all. They also had this when they opened the door. This was done with flower petals, individual flower petals, that they made this design for us, just because we came to visit them. Just really, really beautiful, really nicely done. This they also had schools where they taught some other children from outside, that people would come in. That's another way that they can do to get more exposure. These children can now go home and tell them about the Bible, or they're taught to read the Bible and go home to their parents and tell them about it. But very few people here again, right after COVID. And there wasn't a lot of people there. This seminary is like I said, they have about 58 seminaries, I think, over India, and this seminary is mostly self-supportive. One of the things they do is they sell purified water. So they would take water, run it through filter system, and then they also have to chill it, and then they take it out in trucks to other villages that don't have clean water. That's one way they do to make some money to support them. Another way is with selling milk. They have some cows, mostly water buffalo, that they milk, and they treated us with buffalo milk. They always would serve it hot, but it was very good. It was water buffalo milk. So they were just getting ready to milk. They just fed the cows. And this was their silage cutter. This is a hand crank silage cutter that they used there to get feed for the cows. These are some of the places where the missionaries stay. I think they said the one is for the girls and they have 2 for boys. When they're in their training for missionaries, and which right now I assume they would all be full, because there's people waiting in line to do that. from our motel room there in Lucknow, this is, I think we were in the 4th floor, and you could just city everywhere. And I wanted to go down and see, so early in the morning I went down took a tour, a walk around just to see what it's like. We had asked them if there's any way that we could do some laundry. We had some dirty laundry, if there's a place that we could do it. No, they said, bring it down, we'll do it for you. And that evening, this is what was laying on the bed. The laundry wasn't only washed, but it was folded, and they had cardboard in, same as the shirts that you buy in Walmart. That's what was there ready for us. There's lots and lots of monkeys in India. This was right outside our window from the motel, and I had wanted to. So early in the morning, I went and just took a tour through the real narrow city streets. And just to see, and this is the 7 wonders, and I think some of it could be the wiring. You know, it's a wonder how anybody could ever make sense of that. But the monkeys like it. The monkeys have free reign of the whole town that way. But this was down at one of the streets. You see alongside here, there's gutters. There's gutters, and that's where the raw sewage is. And really seemed dirty. They just have ramps. Somebody had a motorcycle here probably, took it inside and locked it. And some had steps. But they had these gutters right in front of their house. And came to another place where they were cleaning these. They had shoveled out these on piles, and then somebody came along and was loading it on a truck. But they sure did not do a good job on cleaning it. This is what was left. I thought, well, you could surely brush it or scrape it back in, but no, they didn't. They just walked through it and it'd finally dry out and scatter all over the place. But I was just walking down, just took a video as I was walking along. Streets are too narrow for anything other than a motorcycle or a bicycle. This is I asked the boy to show me how they press that sugar cane. See the cane sugar dripping out from the bottom? Putting the rolls all the way together now. And it keeps on running it through. As it breaks down more, they get more out of it. Can't imagine how sticky that boy's hands were. This is just another video of the traffic. The traffic in that you see. It's just it seems unorganized, very unorganized, just a never-ending chaos. Watch this man walk along through the traffic on the other side, never stopping. Just walks right through. You know, a pedestrian only has a right of way if you let them. They'll keep on walking. There was a lot coming the other way that also wanted to go through, so here they come. A lot of the poor people can't afford a motorcycle, so they'll transport their goods with a bicycle or goods or people. And walked by a couple people that were threading these flowers together, mostly marigolds, flower blossoms. They were threading together and seeing where they actually come from. But I guess it's not only people. I don't know what the occasion was here, but this car was also decorated with these flower lays. From there, we went down to Kerala, southern India, and GFA has a hospital, a 950-bed, state-of-the-art hospital in southern India. That's just another way that they do to draw more people. Here in this hospital, there's over 2,000 outpatients a day go through this hospital. And if we think there's this hospital is, before every surgery, they would do prayer, have a prayer. You know, why do those people even allow a prayer? They don't want Christianity. But when people are sick and desperate, if your prayer helps, sure, go ahead. You know, it's almost like, yeah, try it. You know, and then these 2,000 outpatients that come a day, they don't come by themselves. There's also always one other person or maybe two other people with them. So many people get in contact with a Christian atmosphere here in this hospital. This is a chapel. 3 times a day, I think it's two or 3 times a day. The staff, as much as can, will come in the chapel and have a short prayer time, devotion, and whatever. And with all the outpatients, they're welcome to come in also. Or just come in for prayer. That's a chapel right in the hospital. They also have Bibles there to give out, or they don't give them out, but people take them. They have Bible racks that you can take. They have the Bibles in 8 different languages. There's 8 main languages, but there's over 600 languages in India. But these are the 8 main ones, and they would have the Bibles translated in those, that people can pick those up. There's Bible racks throughout the whole hospital. So every year, there's about 350,000 Bibles that get picked up every year. They do a lot of this of people out in the remote areas that can't even come to the hospital. There's doctors that would call out Skype or whatever they do, and they're able to help the people that can't even come to the hospital. They gave us a tour of the hospital just like we were inspectors. You know, a hospital, a lot of things happen there that I don't know, don't even understand. But they gave us a tour. We went through a section with surgery operating rooms, and there was 16 operating rooms for amputation only. 16. Now, granted, in India, people wait too long. They wait till it's too far gone. They can't save a leg or an arm anymore, and it has to be taken off. Probably a lot more than what we would here, but they do a lot of amputations. This is went by where they had they call these the wards, where there's the sick people, the poor people would have these beds close together. They have different ways of staying there. Some can have private rooms where they have a doctor assigned to them or a nurse assigned to them all the time, or the poor people that don't have money, they have these. The hospital in India is different from most hospitals in countries like that. Most hospitals would ask to see the money, or you pay them first before they'll treat you. GFA Hospital is not that way. They will be treated just the same if they have money or not. But these the private rooms, the people that have money for that private room, that can now pay for 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 of these wards, of the people in the wards. They said there's actually people that can't pay more than 13 cents a day. That's all they can afford to pay. But GFA treats them just the same as if they would have money. So it's just, they sort of explained it like, it's sort of like flying. You know, you can fly first class or you can fly economy. You'll get to the same place, probably at the same time, of course, but it's just they take more individual care of you. And that's the same way that they have at the hospital. The people with the money can pay for these people that don't have money to do it. Showed us a lot of the certificates and things they have there. They treated us with coconut milk. Who always ever had coconut milk? This is my first time. I wasn't sure if I like it. I think you could grow to like it, but it was different. This was Dr. John as we were taking a tour of the hospital. There's a couple doctors here, and they wanted to introduce us to these doctors. They said this Dr. John, he's 70-some years old and still performing surgeries. They said he has performed over 40,000 surgeries. And he was standing beside me, and he said, it was more than that. I don't know how many he did. But this Dr. John was the first doctor to ever do an open heart surgery on a baby 1 day old. This is top of the line, top notch, the latest that they have in equipment, machines, whatever to treat you. So this doctor back here was the first doctor ever to do a liver transplant in the world, first one in the world. Here in this hospital, they don't only have a hospital that they treat people, they also have a medical school where they train doctors. This is one of the highest, the most sought after medical schools in India. And they said there's a lot of the doctors that we have here from India that came from India probably went through this school. It's really hands-on, just a really sought after school for the doctors. This was in 2016. This was a class of the people they had in there through the medical school. So they took us over to the medical school and wanted to give us a tour of that. And first they showed us the library of the medical school. The next was a museum. Well, what's in a museum of a medical school? But yes, body parts. Body parts behind glass. But said, yeah, just go in and look. Went down the hallway and there's a big room off to our right. And they had stainless steel tables. Again, not many people there because of shortly after COVID. So, but there was two groups of people back around tables in the back corner. And I asked what they were doing. They said, just go in and look. Some of the others didn't want to, but I went in to look. And what do you think it was? It was a human leg that they were dissecting. You know, this was through training. And wow. I said, well, how long can you use one leg? Well, we stored it in formaldehyde, and we can use it for about 2 months. Okay, what about after 2 months? Oh, we just get another one. Also, we've seen there, this was a group of missionaries in training. This was a prayer time. And the schedule of the missionaries is very, it starts 5 o'clock in the morning and goes till 10 o'clock at night, or maybe 10:30. So it starts with a half hour, an hour of prayer right when they get up, and it's a really training. I mean, intense, I guess. For their classrooms, for the missionaries, they're not in an air-conditioned room, because where they're going, there's not going to be air conditioning anyway. So they have these buildings out in the jungle. This is right in the middle of the jungle that this is, where the hospital is. And this is their classrooms out in the middle of the jungle. And that's where the missionaries are trained. There's another one in back at the end of that path. This is the largest bamboo tree that I've ever seen. They have already got an award of the best kept jungle there in India. Very nice pathways through the jungle. Again, some of the places where the missionaries stay, or the missionaries, or maybe also doctors. I think this is missionaries. This is the office building in Kerala. If you were to give $10, send $10 to the organization, or $10,000, it doesn't matter, it will all come here. And from here, it's distributed out to wherever it's earmarked for. So 4 stories of office buildings open to the government. Government can come in anytime and go have open records. They of course don't like that the government sees where every missionary is, which they seldom ask for. But that would just be a link for those. But you know, the persecution in India generally does not come from the government. It most always comes from village leaders. It might be a Hindu village, might be a Muslim village. But the the village leaders don't want any Christianity. And that's generally where persecution comes, or they come and burn churches or do whatever. So, but it generally, most times, doesn't come from the government. They, for having a church, you need a license or a permit for, and GFA tries to do everything above board. I should have took a better picture of outside of every building. You would see shoes wherever there was a door where people used. They would all take their shoes or their sandals, take them off before they went inside a building. This was their mission, is a mission statement for GFA. Our mission in life is to glorify God by seeking to know Jesus more fully and intimately, to worship Him as He desires, to grow together in love and unity, to instruct and equip the body for the work of the ministry, and to fulfill the Great Commission of our Lord. That was there in their offices. This was Dr. Danny. Danny is married to KP's daughter, Sarah. Danny is over the administrator over the whole hospital. Very, very nice man. Made friends of him. This is their family. This is Sarah and their family. KP's only daughter. One thing that wasn't on the schedule when I was down there, I found out, I had heard that when Jesus sent out the apostles, that Thomas chose to go to southern India. And that's a fact. He did. Doubting Thomas, chose to go to southern India. Thomas went to southern India and he started 7 churches. And then he was martyred for his faith. But we asked if we could go to Niranam, where is one of the sites. So this is one of the sites where this church is now an Orthodox Syrian church there. But this is the very site where one of Thomas's churches were when he was there. And they had, this was an Orthodox church, they had Lent services every evening, and we just stepped inside just to observe. But outside the church, down by a little a creek, was this. This is this is one of the very places where Thomas baptized some of his followers. It was still original, still there. They said it's just the same. So this Gospel for Asia, the churches, what they have now, they were sending the missionaries out, but then the people should have been discipled, and Gospel for Asia soon seen that they should provide more. So they started the churches which they call Eastern Believers Church. No, there's no connection in Anabaptist as we know, but they would say they're more closely associated to the Apostolic Church than we are, because they come directly from the Church of Thomas. And a lot of their traditions, well, that's the way they used to do in the Apostolic Church. So, I don't know. Very interesting. Going to the airport, I just had to take a couple more pictures of some of the traffic. This was this load of lumber or logs. There's no standards or sideboards on the truck. Everything's just tied, and that's not the worst. That one, or even that one. There's no standards. Everything is just tied by ropes. I can't imagine how they do that. Came back, and this was KP again. After we came back, met with him again, and he was visiting, and they said that KP has only ever bought one car in his lifetime. This was used. This is I think it was 1969 VW Beetle, and he bought this used, and this was the only car that KP has ever bought. Some years ago, the people from the offices there in Texas thought, that's not safe anymore. That KP would go out in a little car like this. If he'd be in a wreck or something, he should have a bigger, heavier car or another car. And they were looking to get another car. KP found out about it, and he said, no way. He said, just think of how many missionaries we could sponsor with the money that you're figuring to spend on the car. That was KP's vision, just doing whatever, as much as he can for the lost. So again, this is a picture of the sponsorship cards. You can sponsor a missionary, $30 a month. If it takes more than that, some of them with families and whatever, they might have more than one sponsor. But for simplicity's sake, just $30 a month. You'll have the name of the missionary. You'll have where he's from. You can read that right on the sponsorship cards. And you can sponsor him for as long as you like. And just recently, just last month, I think I got notices from two. I've sponsored quite a few. And that I got notice from two that they said they are now self-supportive. That they don't need to be sponsored, that I can now pick another one. I just told them, just get another one. But that some do become self-supportive. And this is a current picture of Tony, our guide, is over in India as we speak, and this was as of last week. This is the group of missionaries in the one seminary that he was at. So this is happening right now. I want to tell you a story of what it might be like for somebody that is in complete total darkness, that doesn't know anything about God, never heard about God. This is Mossy. Mossy lived in a village. He had a little bit of land. He had a couple animals. I don't know, was it cows or goats or what it was, but he was in their standard. He was doing pretty good. And but this is Mossy's family, and 14-year-old Jenna had an evil spirit, a demon within her, and they struggled with this. And so Mossy was trying to find somebody to cast out that demon, or a way to get rid of that. And Mossy was selling his things that he had for priests to do rituals, for witch doctors, and just to try anything that he could, and nothing helped. Finally, the rest of his family was getting sick. Mossy spent all the money that he had, and now his wife was now deathly sick on her deathbed. Mossy had no idea what to do. Mossy never heard of Christ, never heard of Jesus, never heard of salvation. Mossy didn't know what to do. Then somebody came and said that there's a wizard in town. He ought to go talk to this wizard. I don't know what a wizard is. But he went and talked to the wizard. The wizard said, yes, there is a way to get rid of this demon. But the only way is you're going to have to sacrifice Jenna. That's the only way. Mossy could not bear the fact of sacrificing his daughter. Mossy didn't know what to do. What would we have done? Mossy made the unthinkable decision to go to a distant shop and buy poison for the whole family. He said, if Jenna needs to die, we all die. Mossy was traveling home, overcome with grief of what he's about to do. Couldn't bear the thought of killing his family. He was weeping uncontrollably on the side of the road, and a missionary came along. And this missionary said, I pray for people in distress. Can I pray for you? Mossy turned around and he grabbed this missionary and he said, could you please help me? and he told him what he was facing and what he was about to do, that he went to buy poison. And this missionary, Jepa was his name, he said, you don't need to do that. Jesus already did that. He already died for us. You don't have to sacrifice your daughter. Jesus died for us. He told him the way of salvation. This was all new to Mossy. Mossy wanted to know more about this. Pastor Jepa, missionary, told him, explained it to him, and he said, you ought to go to a church in another village. There's a small church starting, and you ought to take your family and go to that church. So the next Sunday they did. The family was still sick. But they went to this church, and as they got in church, the pastor was preaching, and Jepa went berserk. Or Jepa, the daughter, I forgot her name, but anyway, Jenna. Jenna went berserk. She threw herself on the floor, was screaming. She attacked the pastor, was biting and scratching. For 45 minutes, they were praying. And Jenna fell flat on the floor and was calm. This was so new. You know what? How do you do this? What do you do to do this? And so they wanted to know more about it, and the family started to get better and was healed. And they went back to their village and said what happened. They started a church there, and now the neighboring village is starting to come also. They don't even know. We can't even imagine or fathom what it would be like to not have any hope. Nothing. All they know is different gods that they worship, and nothing happens. So this God, there are so many people out there just waiting for someone to tell them. This again, this picture is precious to me. I want another story that I want to read. Also shows about some of this that every 3 years, hundreds of thousands of people go to the Indian holy city of Hardwar to bathe in the river Ganges. They go believing that this Hindu ritual will wash away their sins. A native missionary often witnessed to these huge crowds of people, telling them about Jesus. One day, he noticed a young woman by the river bank, weeping uncontrollably, pounding her chest. Realizing that something terrible must have happened, he asked her what was wrong. My husband is very sick and can't work anymore. I have so many sins and no one knows about them. To find forgiveness for my sins and a solution to the problem, I have given the best to the goddess Ganges, my only son, my 6-month-old baby boy. I threw him into the river. She told him through her sobs. The missionary's heart ached for the desperate young woman. He sat down beside her and gently tried to tell her of the love of Jesus. He explained the gospel to her, how Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice 2,000 years ago so her sins can be forgiven, that God isn't angry with her. As he explained the gospel to her, she was puzzled. "I have never heard of that," she said through the tears. "That is wonderful." Then suddenly she wiped her tears, looked him in the eyes, and said, "Why? Why didn't you come a half hour sooner, that I wouldn't have had to give my child?" She went back crying again. Today, 2 billion people like her are saying why. Just waiting till somebody tells them about Jesus. This is Gospel for Asia has provided a way that we can do that. Even though we can't go of ourselves, it would even be practical that we would try to go in undercover and go in as a missionary and to reach these people. But there's people of their own national people standing in line waiting to give their life to go out and tell these people about this Jesus. This is not, it's now not just India. KP's heart was always, how could we do more? Then there was some leaders or officials from Rwanda, Africa, came to KP or came to India at the hospital, begging, almost on their knees, begging, "Could you please come to Rwanda and have a hospital for us there?" They said the medication that we have in Rwanda, over 60% of that medication is all bogus. It's no good. And that's all they have. And they are desperate for help, for healing. And they were begging, and KP was praying for a long time, along with others, that something would open up in Africa, that they could also go to Africa. And now this. Now the officials are granting, they're waiving all taxes, all tariffs, and wanting them to come, which they're now doing that. They're building a hospital in Rwanda, Africa right now. They asked us if we'd want to go to Rwanda, and we did in March of this year. We were in Rwanda. We've seen this. They now have 2 stories done. There's 2 stories going to be underground, 4 above ground, 250 bed, again, state-of-the-art hospital, and they will provide medical training there as well to train doctors. They're already training missionaries, and they're already sponsoring schools, the Bridge of Hope schools for children. And it's just wide open doors right now. Rwanda is pretty friendly to Christians, to Christianity, and it's just a small country right on the equator. It's pretty friendly to Christianity, but neighboring Congo will not allow Christianity to come in. But these missionaries are now training in a neutral ground, and they can now go out, and whole Africa is being opened up. Northern Africa especially is very dark, and so it's just don't know where all this will go. But that's they say right now they are asking for funds as much as they can to get this hospital going. They expect to have this hospital done, 250 beds, by next year sometime. And then as soon as it's done, they're going to start again right away and put another 200 beds on that hospital. So it's the need is just it seems endless. So I'm here today not to try to make anybody feel guilty, but just to tell you that the avenue that we have, the way that we can actually help in those dark places where people never have heard of the gospel. and through GFA, and Eunice figures to expects to go back down there again and help there on the what they call their campus, where they're recruiting the money there and then sending it to India, and having it dispersed from there. So if you send money, and there's in the back there's gift catalogs, or there's more about their different things that you sponsor. You can send money for a lot of different things. Take one of each of these, and even things that's not marked. Just say for instance for the children, or maybe for the hospital in Rwanda. Just put it in the memo, put a note, earmark it for that, and it will go for that. And 100% of that money will go for that. So also there's great need for the missionaries, along with a lot of other things. The sponsorship cards. There's also girls or boys or couples or families. And you can, if you care to, you could. It says about them, where they're from, and so on. And you can sponsor them. You can't correspond with them, because that would just provide a link to the missionaries, which they want to heed not to do. But you do. I think it's every 2 months. Do you know, Eunice, that you get a field report? Yeah, I think it seems to me about every 2 months. You get field report from the area that your missionary is working in. But just says what is going on and some of the things that are happening there. So they do send out field reports from the missionary that you're sponsoring. So I would like each and every one to take back there, each family, take home one of these. This says how it got started, if you don't already have one. How the organization got started, KP's vision, and what they're doing, and then also here another book about the children, the plight of the children, no longer a slum dog. So do take those, and if you know anybody else that would want one, do take for them. So Gospel for Asia hands these out, and wants me to hand them out to anybody that wants it. So you're free to take that, and take of the different ones. And again, the sponsorship cards, you're free to take, but don't take them unless you plan on sponsoring that person. So with that, I think that's all I have. I'll open it for questions for a little bit. If does any, and we're also going to be available in the back, that we can answer some questions. But would anyone have some questions?
Why are they so closed to Christians coming in, and yet they seem to be open to Christian church or churches?
That's very interesting. I had the same question for them. They said, they themselves can't agree what the right religion is. So this is just another religion. They, as far as getting permits for churches, the Hindus have to get a permit, and the Muslims have to get a permit. So the government, it's just another church. So while in the southern India, it's tolerated a lot more than northern India. They're very hostile to Christians in northern India, but it's tolerated a lot more in the south. But it's Gospel for Asia tries to do everything above board that the government can actually see it, check up on them. But like I said, it's most of the time the persecution doesn't come from the government. Comes from village leaders, but they are. But it's so nice to see, and the churches, these churches that get started. Some of these people might have been the rich people, and some of those were maybe the very poor, the Dalits, which they're getting from off the street and providing schools for the children and so on. So once they're a part of the church, they're all on the same level. Doesn't make any difference. There's no short story. While KP was a missionary, right when he started going out as a missionary, 17 years old, KP went out to this little village of Bundi. The village was called Bundi. And KP went in Bundi with a couple other missionaries. They were beaten and forced out of the village, and which happened a lot. So KP knew about this Bundi. That's a bad place. And many times since, there was missionaries that tried to go into Bundi. Many were persecuted, many were killed in Bundi. They will not allow Christianity. Just recently, there was a missionary in training, and he said to the seminary leader there, he said, "I feel that God is calling me to go to Bundi." The leader said, "Let me ask you one question. Are you sure that God is calling you to go to Bundi?" This leader knew what Bundi was. Yes, he knows God is calling him to go to Bundi. He said, "Then go." Well, this missionary went into Bundi, and he was there for 3 days, and the village leaders found out about it. They came and got him, and they took him by the feet and held him upside down. And they said, "If we catch you here tomorrow at this time, we are going to tear you apart like a chicken." This missionary didn't know what to do, so he took the first bus out, and he went back to the seminary, and he said what they said they were going to do. The leader of the seminary said, "Let me ask you one question. Are you sure that God told you to go to Bundi?" "Yes, he knows that God said that." He said, "Then go back. They might kill you, but you'll just go to heaven. That's where we all want to go anyway. We'll come later. Just go back." Weeping, he went back on the bus. Made his bye to his family, never expecting to see his family again. He went back to Bundi. A day after he got back in Bundi, the leaders found out about it. Came and, "Do you know? Don't you remember what we told you?" "Yes." "Do you know that we're going to kill you?" "Yes." "Don't you care?" "No." "Why don't you care?" He said, "I'll just go to heaven. That's where I want to go anyway." Now they didn't know what to do. What do you do with somebody that doesn't even care? They didn't kill him, but he was beaten. He had a very bad time. But just lately, I don't know, was it a year ago or a couple years ago? Just not long ago, KP in Texas got a call at midnight. This was in daytime in India. He got a call at midnight, and this missionary said, "KP, we would like that you would come over to Bundi." He said, "Bundi?" He was in his sleep, he just getting awake, and he knew what Bundi was. And well, no, he doesn't want to go to Bundi. "Yes, I want you to come to Bundi so that you can be here and be here when we inaugurate the new church." KP did. He got tickets. He went over to Bundi. They worshiped for 5.5 hours with a big group of people there in Bundi. When the services were over, this missionary came and told KP, "I want you to meet someone." And took him over to this man and said, "This is the man that said that he is going to tear me apart like a chicken." Even those people, they don't understand this. Why does somebody not even care to die? Where is their hope? They have something that we don't. So there's people. It can be the rich people or the people with money, or it can be the poor people. But once they're in the Eastern Believers Church, they're all on the same level, and it's so nice. But yeah, so I think I will let it at that. Let someone else close, and when in the back, you're welcome to meet my Indian wife. bought a dress over there, and she's dressed like one of the Indians. So, okay, with that, God bless you for coming. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And just help yourself to the materials in the back.